I'm gonna add this back in.
Okay.
Okay, is that, oh, you want me to wait?
No, what I want to do though is.
Because and then I'm gonna. My pasilla here.
I love that now.
While I'm doing that, I'm gonna use a jalapeno too.
Okay, so now your pepper is roasted, right?
Yeah, I finished roasting it. It's poblano, so you can see it's nice and black.
Right.
And, but I want to get in here into a bag right away because it's gonna steam.
Okay.
And the steaming will make the skin come off real easy.
Did you watch me do on the Food Network back about 20 years ago?
I want you to do a lot of things
Hey now.
on and off the network. So, to the chili. Okay, so I gotta get this pasilla
In the fridge?
prepped. No. Just here in about 3 or 4 minutes, you know, it'll be ready to get peeled. And so for me, the next thing I'm gonna chop up a jalapeno and at least 1 whole onion. But I'm only making 2 pounds of ground turkey. I usually make at least 4 pounds.
I see you got your seasoning rolling now, huh?
Yeah, just give it a little love because it talks to you a little more when you just season it up just a touch, right?
So my brother, you and I go back almost, I don't know how long, man, 93, 94, something like that.
That's right.
And when all right, you tell the story how
We met over the phone actually. We had a long dialogue because you were busy doing your television shows and I was on tour.
Right.
And a mutual friend hooked us up by phone saying that you guys need to get together and talk. And that's how we started. And we started one night and I remember I was talking to you outside. It was summertime and we talked for like an hour and a half straight.
Exactly.
The first time we ever talked. And now for a lot of people that could be too hot.
Right.
But my crew, you know, they like hot, so we'll see how hot they like. Yeah, but it's just one huge jalapeno. More than a year later that we met, Hirohima was playing at the Greek Theater, and then Curtis Aiken comes strolling in backstage, and we saw each other, and because I knew who you were, I could tell from seeing you on television, and you had seen me on television and on album jackets and stuff like that. We immediately knew who we were.
I loved reading the liner notes back in the day, right?
Yeah, right. And so that's how we initially hooked up, and it was hanging ever since.
It's true that. Wow, brother, check you out. You've gotten good with this. Your knife skills. I'm impressed.
On the road, for real. 38 years on the road, and so when I come home, the last thing I want to do is go to a restaurant. You know, I want to sit here, and I want to make my own food, and I want to know what I'm eating. I want to know, without sounding corny, how much salt and everything I'm putting in my body.
You're not sounding corny because you're preaching to the choir here, man. Like a lot of stuff I try to do, and you know, in your community, my community, our community.
Right.
You know what? I get tired of hearing my community, your community. Like shit, we're in the same community, right?
Right.
You know.
Absolutely.
It's a trip. But diabetes is killing us, man.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
We got to do something about it. So like.
And heart disease. Yeah. And the whole processed food issue, because I mean, yeah, processed food is so dangerous in America.
So when you talk about knowing what's in your food, man, we speak in the same language.
Yeah, so I want to know, and you know, even though it's a little expensive, to as much as possible, and it's always combined in these situations. I try to use fresh organic, you know, and but some like I'm using canned San Marzano tomatoes. There are some organic. This one is not, but you can't beat San Marzano tomato. Yeah, so you got to make your compromises. You know?
I got a friend in Texas. She grows them, man. They are.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Be here next time
Yeah.
yeah,
because then that's another good thing Texas does besides hatch chilies. Because hatch chilies are bomb. I'm for real.
Yep.
So
why is it a left-handed kitchen, brother?
Because I designed this kitchen so that like everything goes from the sink this way, so that I can cut stuff up and just throw it in the sink, and then later on I can clear the sink out and use the disposal. But I can work this way, till I get to the stove. It's just it's a lazy man's thing, but it's my crib. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm right.
You know, James Brown was the hardest working man in show business.
Yeah, I got to meet. You know what? I met the Godfather in the Crown Room, Delta Crown Room at Hartfield.
Wow.
In Atlanta.
Dude.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the Godfather goes, Hirohima!
That's what he said?
Yeah, Hirohima!
Oh, man.
For real, Booze.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was in you've been in the Crown Room there? Yeah, you know that roll phone booth?
Oh, yep.
Walking by, me and my brother was managing, and took us on the road at that time, and he goes, wow, there's the Godfather. We went over to, he was on the phone, he's talking to me, he went, Hirohima! I love the Godfather, man.
You and me both. I still roll with him coming down the freeway.
Oh yeah.
I'll never forget the time now. I met Little Richard in Hartford.
Little Rich he spoke in my church.
What?
Yeah, East LA Church Rose high school. I'm sorry, at my high school, there was a Christian youth club at my high school, which I was a member of, and Little Richard had found religion, and he actually came and spoke to like about 60 of us.
Was this back in the day?
This was in the 60s when I was going to high school.
Wow.
So-
Really good. Okay, so walk us through what we got.
So we got jalapenos, we just got brown onion, and we got a little chopped garlic.
Perfect.
And then I'm gonna start browning that, and because I like to get the onions a little translucent before I do the turkey. A lot of people do the meat first,
Right.
but to me it flavors the meat more, with this going on in the oil.
I
So
like that stuff. Now, what kind of pan you got here, man? You got a big lock Cruz?
it's a Le Creuset.
I love those, man. I love
Yeah, it's like it's my second and last one. My first one.
It's got some seasoning in it, man.
Yeah, no, I've had it for about, I want to say, over 12 years. But my original one, my mother gave to me when I moved out when I was 17.
All right, so DK, you are taking the garlic out. So you flavored your oil.
Yeah, I flavored the oil for a while at just in warm oils. It's at the lowest possible simmer, just to get garlic infusion into the oil, and then I'll add this later. Otherwise. And for me personally, I don't mind if garlic's a little burnt. I like that bitterness.
Yeah, I'm okay with it too.
But for a lot of people, they're not ready for it, and if they can't hang,
So you don't do it.
Well, this is my kitchen. If they can't hang, normally that's their problem. But it's dealing with de rigueur.
What was that French word you just threw at me?
De rigueur. Okay, my son-in-law, who's French, he'd be like, what? How'd you say that? That's not right.
Come on, Pops.
Yeah, he gonna have to live with that. Okay, let's see. Now, while that's going on, see, but basically, you can see it just comes right on off. Yeah, and the pasilla just has a nice, subtle flavor, and I add it for a chili umami because it has depth of flavor in the chili.
Chili umami.
Yeah, for me.
My brother.
So that's what I dig.
That's a great job. You are the next TV cooking star.
Well, that would be a dangerous day for the planet.
Not only is he an accomplished
But see?
jazz musician, he's a gorgeous at-home chef.
But see,
That's beautiful.
and then I use seeds and all because pasilla is not hot.
Right.
I just think it adds a lot of subtle richness to the
You know
flavor.
what? Right now, man, we can make a hell of a chili reunion.
Oh yeah, well, hey, my nephew, Giancarlos Kuromoto, who, he's been now a pretty well-known celebrity chef in LA. I think he's 30 now. He's getting old. You met Giancarlos before. We need to play golf.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
That's his thing. In the last year and a half, he's been golfing all his. But he's at Petite Taqueria, which is well, let me put it to you this way: like the Kardashians had their birthday party there. Put this bad boy on because otherwise I mess up my good T-shirts. And this is a James Moody.
That's a James Moody.
And James, who is always family to me, a lifetime mentor to me and my family, and who taught me not so much about music, although in truth, one time he was in New Zealand. I'm sitting right over there, and I was practicing. I get a phone call, and it's Moody. And he's going, Dan, I got a whole new way of playing over D minor ninth chords. And he said, listen carefully. And for 15 minutes, he played all these different things over the phone. You know, he said, just think D minor 9, and play all these different. Okay, now you play that back. And he would give me a phone lesson for almost an hour from New Zealand. When I literally didn't have any money to eat, and when June and I were early in our marriage, he would invite us over all the time to feed us. And he would never say, I know you don't have any money, you must be hungry. He just go, I got too much food, you need to come over today. Okay, I will see you here in an hour, and hang up the phone. And we go over there, and he would, and he went through his phases when he was just doing vegetarian. Or whatever. He was a great cook. He has, I think, 2 cookbooks out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
See, so, you know, all of these things are interconnected. We're talking about music, art, culture, food. They're all interconnected with, and as I say, I like to do the chilies and the onions first. Now, I know that's not typical, but that's just the way I roll.
You know what, man? It's like music. Hey, what works sounds good, right?
Yeah, because
Oh, brother, that smells so good.
because to me, it infuses, you know, ground turkey is a little bit gamey, for some anyway, and to me, and this starts to get some of that gaminess out. I'm going to add garlic, but I'm going to add just a touch later so it doesn't burn. 3 chopped garlic cloves.
3 cloves of garlic chopped?
Yeah, And then from any.
You have no recipe, right? You're just doing this from the field, right?
Well, yeah, but I've been working, like this is the band, oddly enough, this is the band's favorite. I cook for every rehearsal, I cook for every recording session, because we do it all here. We record, my home is the studio. Curtis knows this, my living room is where the koto gets recorded. My dining room is where we do singers or guitarists, and in the back studio, the drum set and keyboards and bass. So we record our Songs with Words CD. I'm gonna grab one later on and flash it. Yeah, it is a vocal CD. It's all our vocal songs from the 80s. And we did it all live in here. So singers and everybody, it was madness. Because you know the hardest part is getting everybody in the same room at the same time. Everyone's, oh man, I can't make it. I got a gig. I'm doing this or whatever. And you know, or Terry Seal says, I got to pick up the kids.
I got to pick up the kids.
Yeah, no, and that comes first.
So you got the protein.
Yeah, well, see, you can see my veggies are, you know, the onions are nicely sweated. You know, you can smell the garlic is integrating.
Yeah.
So I'm just throwing, you know, a little bit of protein, and.
By the way, Dan, I'm loving this.
Well, I'm just doing this. I'm just doing what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying?
You know, it's interesting. You and I, we go back a long way.
A long way, yeah.
Yeah, a long way. And it's funny how I mean, we know each other very well. However, when you like last night's the first time I spent the night with you, right? Now,
right.
You know, I stayed over, right?
Yeah, right.
So the friendship gets deeper because the conversations change. You know what I mean? Like this morning, like we're recording this on playoff Saturday, wild card Saturday.
Oh, right.
And not wild card, but it's
because your Falcons are on today.
Playing the 2 birds are going tonight.
That's right. Yeah.
And then the last week though.
Who's going to win?
It's got to be a bird's going to win somewhere, right?
Right. This is starting to brown. Then I'm going to go back to our pasilla, and then I'm going to chop that up and throw that in. It's a very simple dish.
So you just add the garlic, right?
Right.
You add the garlic that you use to sweat herb that you flavor the oil, right?
Right.
Okay. So this is the pasilla that you cooked earlier,
right? And I'm wanting to get all the seeds and everything, because I love the flavor, and frankly, it's not very hot.
Well,
But this is the best chili to use for I think for a chile relleno right here is the pasilla.
I think so too.
Yeah, because it's got a little sweetness to it, which is also nice. Okay, my protein, as you can see, is turning, and it's
starting to brown.
Yeah, starting to brown. So now I'm going to add, and I just happen to have, and this is rare, I happen to have empty packages. I have literally pounds of the 2 chilies, and I just, okay, California is when you don't want too much heat. Right. California molido. But the New Mexico is, I would say, almost twice as hot. They have different flavors, to me. New Mexico is a little smokier. The California is a little sweeter. I usually do 2 to 1. You know, if I'm doing it for kids, I only use this. But you know, like for my nephews and nieces. But you know, since I'm doing it for the golf crew and they like a little heat, I'm gonna go 2 to 1 with these. And
you were saying how the turkey is starting to brown.
Yeah, you could see it's going.
Yeah.
And that's when I add it. You know, sometimes I know the conventional wisdom is you add all of these things, you know, to the oil, you know, to flavor it up a little bit more. But for me, I found that at this stage, I sort of like it because I like controlling the color of it, and the color sort of talks to me about what I got going on. So because I can reflavor this, I can add these chilies later. So, but I want to infuse the turkey.
So my brother, where did I mean, I know you're a musician and not blah blah, I don't want to say it like that. And you travel a lot. Where did your love of cooking come from? Where did you
From moms. They just came straight up from mom. You know, Kuromotos are I would say nearly 5 to 1 men in my family.
Really?
Yeah. And so
that's a rarity, right? 5 to 1?
Pretty much, yeah. And then so my family is like 3 dudes, and I'm the middle son. That's why I'm so sketchy up here. But you know,
So that's why we get along, right?
that's right. And you know, I always felt sorry for my mother because she'd be, you know, slaving so hard in the kitchen. But my dad had a service station, so she'd have to run around, pick up auto parts, and she was doing everything. And so, you know, I said like, hey, and my mom wanted me to work on my reading skills. You know, I had a lot of speech problems. I still do, but I'm working on it, you know, because I had a bad stuttering issue.
Seriously, I didn't know that, bro.
Yeah, I went to speech therapy for quite a while, and they told me there it's because I'm left-handed, but my mom wanted me to do things right-handed. You know, the Japanese way, you can't sit at the table and eat left-handed.
Really?
Yeah, and so things like that, and I later on found out that I had dyslexia too. But anyway, my mom used to make me sit in the kitchen when I was a little kid and practice reading while she cooked dinner. Okay. So Curtis, so, as you can see the color of chili, things are starting to get a little orangish red, right? And so we're closing in on the time when I'm going to start adding the tomato. But, you know, and then there's all these different theories.
Okay.
I like to...
We got to back up because you know, you and I have talked about this in our private conversation. And you know, I learned it when I was 26. You know, I mean, I was illiterate to age 26.
Right.
And there are kids all across the country. In fact, you and I both talk to kids about overcoming. So, talk about dyslexia. Share with mamas out
Okay,
there.
yeah, all right.
What can we, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah. Well, so at this point, I'm going to add a little beer, and I definitely recommend, if you can get it, Shiner Bock, which is a Texas beer, and it's a Texas Bock beer. It's one of the first Bock beers ever in America, unbelievably, is in Texas. And whenever I'm in Texas, I only drink Shiner Bock. And all you got to do is anywhere in Texas, you just go, I need me a Shiner, and the bartender, you know, he'll look at, it's a homeboy, hook him up. So, and
a little bit of taste.
Oh man, I love Shiner. So I like to put in, if I'm making a big batch, I'll put at least 1 bottle in right now. Since I'm making a small chili, I just put a half bottle in now because, oh yeah, no, it'll richen that up. And then I'm gonna hit it with 1 large can of San Marzanos, because you know it's like it's a luxury to use a San Marzano, and I hand break it out. I used to, because I'm lazy. I crush it. I can get my hand in a large can.
My brother, I don't think that's lazy. I think that's pretty fly.
This is how I've always done it. But anyway, going back to my mom. So
I'm gonna hold 1 second. You are just
coming soon is a cilantro. And the and I always only use red kidney beans because the texture. It's, yeah. So you were asking me about my mother, and well, actually, you were asking me about how I got into cooking, and I got into cooking because of moms, and I had trouble reading initially because of dyslexia, and she would have me when I was from around 3 years old. She'd have me sit in the kitchen, and they used to have these books called Dick and Jane and See Spot Run and stuff, and she would try to get me to sit there and read the books and deal with my two things, stuttering and dyslexia. See, right, I started studying right there. I got to watch out for the stutter. Music is good for that. Bill Withers, the only way he can speak is because he started singing, because that's how bad his stuttering was.
Who was that country singer? There's a country, famous country singer the same way.
Yeah. Right. So, and so I would sit in the kitchen and read to my mom. So two things happened. I learned how to read. I could read the newspaper when I was about 5, and then I found a love for cooking because I watched moms in there slaving, but it smelled good though.
Yeah,
you know.
You and I have so many similarities. Like my mother always talked about having a one-butt kitchen, her small kitchen, right?
One-butt kitchen.
She would always squeeze me in to learn with her, man. She's my influence, you know. And so many cats I'm cooking with, the mama is their influence in cooking, bro.
So you could see how the color has changed, right? It's all now it's starting to resemble chili. Now I use a whole head of cilantro when I make mine, but I start with, at this point, stems first, because stems have more flavor to me than the leaves do in cilantro, and this will cook down and no one will even notice that they're stems.
Exactly. It's an ingredient, bro.
Yeah.
And folks don't know. I mean, cilantro has a beautiful flavor. It's also loaded with vitamins
Oh yeah.
C.
So this is stems first.
Yeah.
This is just stems. And so
A little shine about.
knock yourself out. Oh, you want Bloody Mary?
Yeah, man. We're gonna do Bloody Mary mixing scene, right?
Oh yeah. So
Can't wait to taste this now. How long is this gonna cook for, bro?
well, in total, it's gonna. I like to, just once I get everything in there, turn it down and let it cook for as long as it wants. So it's cooked till we turn it off.
We turn it off. We're ready to eat it, right?
Yeah, and then we'll throw this in later.
Man, this is beautiful.
But now we're gonna, not at any point now. See, I already pre-washed the beans.
Kidney beans, right?
Yeah.
So DK.
And see, organics.
Organic, yeah.
So we'll start there.
Y'all can make this chili. I'll put the recipe for you. I'll write it down.
The recipe's already on our website. I have a completely broken down method and everything.
On the Hirohima website?
Yeah, just take it off of there.
Give me the website.
HiroshimaMusic.com is our website.
HiroshimaMusic.com.
And actually, the band is now doing, we're building, and we hope by toward the third quarter of this year, there's going to be a recipe book that we're doing. It's download only, and it's donation only, because we don't want any money for it. But what we'd like to do is dedicate it to people in need. And so, depending upon what is going on at the time, we're just going to ask people to, based on your conscience, donate whatever monies, for the download of the recipe book to specific charities that would be in need and in crisis at that time, with an emphasis on children. So we took a gig because we weren't gigging last year, 2017 in October, just because it was free to the public, and we could donate all the money we made from CD sales, and we did it to the children in specifically earmarked for children in Puerto Rico in relief, and those things are very important to us. And so,
that's what I love about you, bro. That's why we got along.
Yeah, and so that's what our little recipe book. And they're brutally good recipes.
So in the band,
Chemo's famous Caesar salad. See, like Chemo.
So roll through the folks now. It's you.
Well, it begins and ends with June, because the whole thing was her idea.
All right. Okay, I'm gonna get it. So the band starts with
June. The the whole idea of Hirohima was June's idea because she came from Japan when she was 6. She has been playing koto her whole life. She has every professional degree from Japan on koto, and she wanted to make that instrument, her music, her heart, part of American culture.
She did.
So, and yeah, she did. As Stanley Clark says, she's only the world's greatest koto. This is my main man, Stanley Clark.
My brother.
Yeah.
Whenever we talk about, like, you see about the skin, the chicken skin's coming up, like.
But I'm just telling the truth. You know,
telling the truth. And let me, y'all want to know something? June is great. I mean, she's a great.
She's extraordinary.
She's like off the chains, right? And sometimes in concerts, brother, when she does her thing, I just, you know what I mean? It's like the Holy Ghost hits you in the church, right?
Oh yeah.
You want to shout. That's how bad she is.
Well,
the Michael Jackson band.
On an average night, especially like we're in Detroit or DC, or you know, she'll get a standing O every time she plays a solo. That's normal.
Oh wait, now June is, let's say, the linchpin.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's
the heart and the soul.
Walk us through the band.
Okay, so there's June, and then the originals are June, Danny Yamamoto, who is our drummer, who is he's originally, he goes all the way back to '74.
Wow. Okay.
Because we started the idea came in '74. I was, along with a guy named Benny Yee, a co-musical composer conductors to the one and only Asian American musical in downtown LA. We had one performance, 1,800 people, great reviews, and the cat that produced it said, "Oh man, this is too much work, it's too much financial risk," so we never ran it again.
Wow.
But it was great. It organized, you know, like so much of the great talent from the Asian American community, and everyone saw each other and said, "Oh, we could do this." So it was real key. But we were the pit band, and then they just said, well, you know, the musical was only a little over an hour long. Could I do some music after that? So for about we did about a 35-45 minute concert, and those songs that we performed were really, that started the whole idea of doing this band on a larger scale.
Word, okay. So June, you, Danny.
Yeah, so the three of us. And Danny at that time, he was just playing a little bit of percussion because he was this kid going to UCLA studying ethnomusicology. And we had this badass drummer from a band called Chase, Jay Midard, playing drums. We had Vince Charles, like my brother, who passed away about 7 years ago. He was playing with Neil Diamond. He fell down, but he was one of the great steel drum players in the world. One of the greatest percussionists I've ever met. Pat Murphy, Davey Wataki, a great young piano player who is still gigging today with all kinds of cats. Peter Hatta playing guitar, who is now a Buddhist priest.
Whoa.
And teaches jazz guitar.
Nice, I love it.
You know what I mean? So everyone stay connected. But the nucleus of the band now is me, Danny, and June being obviously the linchpin, and then Kimo Cornwell. And Kimo's from Hawaii. That's how you get a name like Kimo. And he was playing with Maze, and he was playing with Al Jarreau. And I gradually kidnapped him from those two bands. And Frankie Beverly to this day, you know, has an issue with me because he thinks I stole Kimo, and Kimo was just playing both gigs. And then in our band, you know, he got to compose, he got to arrange, and it let him stretch out a bit more. But and then Dean Cortez, our bass player, he played from album 1, although at the time he was doing the Boz Scaggs World Tour right out of high school. Because remember the Lowdown Tour with Boz? That went on for 2 years in the private jets, and Dean right out of high school. That's what he was doing. But I knew him in high school, so he played on our first album. I wrote a song called Lion Dance, and I said, Dean, I need you to play on this tune. And so he played bass on that. And subsequent to that, he's played on, I think, every album. And then he's joined the band right after our first gold record. Our first gold record was our fourth, Another Place, and then Dean joined the band. So those 5 of us, we are the band, and everyone can burn. And Kimo makes a genius Caesar salad.
Yes, you get that. We're saying you want to check where the chili's at?
Yeah, because we're about half an hour in or something like that.
What'd you think?
Well, to me, it needs some heat. It could use some salt.
Okay.
Did you know we only put a little bit of salt?
That much
Because
salt.
I use as little sodium as possible.
Exactly.
Always.
You and I both are on the thing about making sure folks don't die from heart attacks. You know?
And it definitely needs some heat. But what I always, my heat additive, and you could tell me what you think, is as the next stage of my heat is I go into Thai chilies, and then I do sriracha.
You like it hot, right?
Well, no, but it's not hot at all right now.
See, I'm a wuss when it comes to the heat.
And there's no salt in it yet.
Oh, brother, I'm digging that.
See, but it'll come around. It needs at least another hour.
Yeah, I'm digging it. That's good.
You see where I'm going to go with this.
Yeah.
And then, just like the cilantro, you just get a hint of it, right? So then,
For the average Joe, they want more salt, but I
right?
I'm training myself to require less salt.
Yeah, and it's actually re-recording songs that we initially recorded in the beginning of our career that were vocal tunes. And the reason that we did it was because as the music industry has changed and now kind of almost fallen apart, and sadly it's a victim of social media, because with Napster and stuff like that, I'm adding just a little bit more chili.
Bringing the heat up, right?
Yeah, just a touch. You know, with the advent of Napster and stuff like that, nobody gets paid, and I make most of my livelihood was as a songwriter, and as you know, Curtis, I mean a lot of what I did was like theater, music for theater, and music for films. Our old friend Ming Tsai, I've always done the music for all of his TV shows and things like that. But you know, my main income was writing songs for the band or other artists. Now we don't get paid anymore because everyone rips off music right out of Napster and things like that. So there's no royalties that we're getting paid. And then now with the advent of Spotify and things like that, now there are vehicles where we could get paid, but the royalty rate to this point is so low till it's embarrassing. And so the music industry is being cannibalized by the public, but they don't even know they're doing it. And and I think if they did, I think the public would be not just conscionable about it, but they would want it to be a little bit different. But it's not handled right because of corporate greed. You know, those people that run the big record companies, they don't really care. They don't care what happens to the artists. But then, you know, it's like, hey, without us, you know, they wouldn't have a business. So it's a fine line. But the best example was, I believe, I'm not saying for sure, but I believe it was Spotify, and Pharrell had the big song Happy. And the year that he had Happy, worldwide, it was played more than any song, you know, that I can remember. And by normal royalty rate standards, by number of plays, you know, on radio and so forth, he would have made probably $1 million to several millions of dollars just from the plays itself. But from that vehicle, and again, I'm not 100% sure if it was Spotify, but it was one of those, his total payment for songwriting for that song, Happy, was less than $5,000. Okay, just a little pinch of salt. If I want to make it sweeter with heat, I add the sriracha. If I want to just make it sweeter, I use ketchup. And I'm sure you do that too. I know ketchup is not the healthiest thing, but now, forget about but see, they have organic.
We can show labels because
okay.
You know, they might want to sponsor it, right?
Dig.
Sponsor Hirohima and Curtis Higgins YouTube.
In that case, if you want to sweeten it, you just add a little bit of Heinz organic ketchup.
Word them up.
Finish up the other half of the beer.
Right?
And then I put it on at a low simmer, put a lid on it, and then I don't even touch it for 45 minutes.
I love it.
And then 45 minutes later, I'll make the last adjustment, and then I let it cook the rest of the day till it's time to eat. Yeah, because we're cooking at such a low temperature that we're just trying to let the flavors come out of the protein and things like that little by little. You know that.
All right, y'all. Dan is wrapping it up now. How are we serving the foot, bro?
Well, we serve it with rice,
A little rice.
and then here's the turkey chili,
Oh man, that's beautiful.
and then I have from Mickey John's some macaroni salad out there, and then I have accoutrement like extra cilantro and onions and tomatoes and stuff, and that's the dish.
I'm gonna go eat now.
No, one.
This
One.
is the Hawaiian
Yeah.
style.
Yeah.
And it's really hot.
Well, if he
We've got
doesn't know.
mac salad, rice,
One.
then we got
Yeah, so
cilantro.
just start with one and then you can add.
All right, my brother. There is the band Hirohima. Going from camera right or your right, we got June. And we got Dean. Timo. Dan. And Danny.
Right.
Yeah. Jake and I, I love that. I love that.